Television Network. What's the show called, Marty Roberts?
The Sports Wrap-Up.
The Sports, of course. The Sports Wrap-Up on the Fired Up Radio and Television Network. I'm the Greek, he's the Newfie. Marty and Billy got you covered for the next hour of your lives, and hopefully this is a good one. We've got a special guest, Marty. We'll get to him in a bit. Cover a little bit of Raptors trade deadline. It's a sad day for all fans of a couple individuals on the Raptors. What's the kid's name that left? Not Powell, the other guy.
Thomas.
Yeah, man. The Thomas year has come to an end in Toronto. It's a very sad day. City's in mourning. We'll get to that in a bit. A little bit of Leaf talk, maybe a little college basketball, and at the bottom of the hour, who we got, Roberts?
Bottom of the hour, we're going to have Mr. Rob Ducey, former Major League ball player, played for both the Jays and the Montreal Expos. He'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour at 6:30. Yeah,
I look forward to that. Off the top, obviously, big. Holy geez, man! Sometimes this is interesting. The camera gets really close, and I see my fat face, and it just throws me for a loop for a second. So let me regain my composure. Raptors trade that. There you go. That's better, man. A little further back. Hide the gray hairs. Raptors trade deadline comes in, and Lowry's still a Raptor. Powell and a few other guys out the door. Your reaction?
Yeah, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think Lowry's going to be moved, mostly because that $30 million price tag is pretty tough to match up with anyone, and they really didn't want to get rid of him, so they were shooting high, hoping someone would give it to him. I like what they got back for Powell. They got something nice back. They got a younger version of Powell. Yeah. And what's funny is his dad was traded from Portland to the Raptors as well, 13 years ago or whatever it was, which is a little interesting stat.
Yeah, the acquisition of Gary Trent Jr. is a nice player. He's, as you mentioned, he's the same kind of player as Powell, only a little cheaper, a little younger, and arguably better defensively than Norman was. And again, if you're not going to bring Powell back next year, you might as well get rid of him now. So the question at this point in time is, Lowry more than likely to retire as a Raptor?
I think so. I wonder if they have a little nudge wink deal in place for next year, because he said he wanted a 2-year deal wherever he went. I wonder if the Raptors.
It's not on the listen. Just I gotta keep you. It's not nudge wink. It's wink nudge, man.
Wink nudge. I'm a newfie, so it's nudge wink. All right.
All right. Okay.
All right. If I was Greek, it's wink nudge. Maybe wink. Maybe wink nudge nudge.
All right. But so they got a wink nudge. So the wink nudge is obviously this guy at 35 years old. His time is numbered in the NBA. If you get another contract, maybe a year with an option, but. It'd have to be and we'll get to a little bit of Messiah in a little bit, because obviously when you've hoisted the championship banner at the ACC, that comes with a little credibility and allows for you to grow and make some mistakes along the way. But sooner or later, some of us got to start calling them out. Terrible season this year in terms of additions, acquisitions, you name it. So Lowry comes back on a 1 year, maybe a year and an option. You'd figure it'd have to be on a discount. You're not paying him $30 million, are you?
You would hope that for sure, right? But what I read was that he wanted $25 million per year for 2 years wherever he went. So hopefully it's a little less than that coming back to the Raptors if he truthfully wants to stay here. So it'll be interesting to see going forward. They might squeak into the playoffs with a couple of these additions, and if they sort some things out, they're 3 games out right now, sitting in 11. So you never know what can happen.
Yeah, when you also factor in the 9 and the 10 gets 9 and the 10 seeds in each conference get a play-in game. You're 1 game back out of the 10 spot to get some, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, meaningful postseason basketball. So again, if you're 1 of 10, you're in with a shot, right? Because if they play at their optimum, they can give anybody in the East a hard time. There's not really any powerhouses. Philadelphia looks nice, come together. Talk about the Brooklyn and Milwaukee, but really, at the end of the day, the Raptors, no matter who they play of the upper echelon, they're in with a shot anyways. Like whether or not they can win is besides the point. But you wouldn't be comfortable betting your house against them.
No, that's all they want is a shot, and hopefully all these guys are back now. Another week under their legs after being off for a few weeks helps them out. I just hope that Siakam straightens out whatever's happening with him on the court, off the court, whatever it is.
Here's the problem. You know what? It's funny you brought up the name because I'm a little all over the place. Here's the deal, man. And this is much the same. No matter what you do as an organization, when your foundation, and then we could talk the same thing about the Maple Leafs in the contract to William Nylander. When you give max money to a guy that's not a max player, you're setting yourself up for trouble. And that's what happened with Siakam. You got to pay to bring him back. You got to reward him for the promise he showed. But there's no way in hell that on any NBA club that's looking to win a championship, Pascal Siakam is a max player. On a good team, he's the second best player. On a championship team, he's 3 or 4, right? It's not his fault. Take the money, this, that, the other. But obviously that comes with a lot of pressure. He's the face of the franchise, and you know what? He doesn't have the game to be the face of the franchise. He's a Batman. He's a Robin, not a Batman. And that again falls squarely on the shoulders of one Masai Ujiri, right? He signed pen to paper.
Yeah, and I guess he felt pressure wanting to get Siakam signed, and he did that. Now hopefully they can build on that. But like I said, I think I'm hoping that in the locker room things are running smoothly. For some reason, I just don't think it is. The way this team has been playing lately, except for the last game, I'll take the last game out of there. But before that, they really looked like they were disinterested there for a few games.
You know what? Take issue because with the team that I look at, especially when you're talking about the backcourt, Ananobi's, Van Fleet, I see these guys give everything they got. Here's the problem. The problem is, guys, is Masai bringing in a guy like Aaron Baines who theoretically and in reality can't even play at the Y. He'd have a tough time getting 20 and 10 at the Y in Barrie. You bring a guy in, you lose Gasol, you lose Ibaka. You bring in this stiff, right? And at the same point in time, if you look at the Raptors, their biggest weakness is interior defense, protecting the rim, rebounding. Areas of the court where you had Gasol, you had Ibaka to help out in those areas. You take those guys away and you put an awful lot of pressure on guys that are undersized. Like who's gonna bang under the boards? Number one, Siakam's a slender guy, man. He's not built to bang. He's a deer, right? Same with Anunoby. These guys are not built to bang under the glass, right? And that's where Masai's put him because he didn't address the issues with Ibaka and Gasol leaving. He thought he's going to get the Greek. He didn't get this Greek. I don't answer his calls. He didn't get the other Greek, period. So at some point in time, Masai, you brought us a ring. That's great, man. But you can't rest on your laurels, right? And I think, again, given the fact he hasn't signed a contract, I think he sees the writing on the wall, man. And come end of the year, this guy's out the door and he's going to take on a different project. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the rumors are circulating, but this entire season is as a result of the upper management not fortifying the roster as required to compete.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like Masai was, I don't know if he was putting all his eggs in the basket trying to get the Greek from Milwaukee, but that didn't turn out. So do you think maybe guys are going to be getting bought out here now? The Raptors might end up with someone that might help them down the stretch here, big man.
So if you're bought out, number one, you have a choice where to go, right? Yeah. It's not like some team can clean you off waivers.
Nope.
Right? You're bought out. So why in the blue hole would a guy like Drummond want to come to 11th place team in the Raptors when he's getting phone calls from the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nets? Like if you're Drummond, you want to come to Toronto?
Well, the way I look at it is that's true. But you also have to look at this way. He comes to the Raptors, he's going to get as much playing time as he possibly wants. He gets to show what he wants, and he wants to play for his contract and get a contract for next year. So Aldridge, he's probably going to go to Miami. That's what they're saying. Drummond, I don't know where he's going to end up. But if I'm someone, I look at the situation with the Raptors, they can make some trouble in the playoffs once they get in there. They had a Drummond in there. He might be able to get them a little further on. He does well. He gets himself a nice contract next year.
In a perfect world, that makes great sense, but you're also dealing again with and funny enough, because Drummond's played for the last couple of years in Detroit and Cleveland, and we're not talking about palm trees and 30 degrees, right? Obviously, no difference than Toronto, but again, you gotta figure in that if the Raptors are 8, 9, 10 or near the bottom of the East, and there's the Canadian bias for American guys to come up here, right? Those two things factor in and tell me that it's Aaron Baines to the death in terms of guys in the middle. Even worse off, You got guys like spilling their guts like Boucher. You stick Boucher, and the guy's like a toothpick.
Yep.
That fights like a dog. He's as competitive as can be, but you're putting him in a position where he can't succeed in the box, underneath the hoop, fighting guys that are 2 times his size in terms of strength. And that's the exclusive. Hey, I'm on air here. Sorry, a little interruption. That's exclusively why the Raptors have struggled not only late in games, but just the entirety of their season, because Ibaka and Gasol are not replaced. So if you can bring in Drummond, absolutely, the team takes a different shape. But don't hold your breath, man.
I'm not holding my breath. I'm just looking at it from the other side that, someone might want to get themselves a nice contract if they come here and play well. They're going to get playing time because they see what we have at center. Like Siakam started at center the other night against Denver, right? Baines was on the bench to start the game. So I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, hey, this is a good spot for me to come if I'm a guy who wants to continue forward and get playing time.
Obviously, when it comes to other dealings in the NBA, if you're looking at teams that fortified their roster, you're taking an interesting move by the Bulls in getting rid of Otto Porter and another kid for Vucevic out of Orlando. It looks solid to me. The Bulls are up and coming. Decent move there. And aside from there, not much else. You got Oladipo going to Miami. I don't know.
And Miami gave up pretty much nothing to get him. So if he stays healthy, he might help them out there, right? So you just don't know. Once they get into the playoffs, you never know. Like, look at the Lakers. Well, they had their 2 big men back, and since they've been out, they've struggled a little bit, right? So there's some things that could happen here in the favor of the Raptors going forward, and let's see what they can do with this.
Yeah, it's interesting when you take a look at the Lakers. So you got a championship squad. You take away AD and LeBron and their 2-point picks against the lowly Cavaliers at home, right? How much a couple guys in terms of the NBA make a difference? Like, you can look at any other sport. You take 2 guys out of any other sport in any other league. It'll make a difference. Obviously, you take the 2 best guys out, but the team still competes. But when you're talking about NBA and you're talking about 12-man rosters with a couple of superstars, you take them out and your franchise is in trouble, right? So,
oh yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're lucky they got off to such that solid start because they got a little cushion between them and falling too far down the list in the standings.
I got my man Mark. Mark over here says the Raps going to probably sneak in the playoffs, and I agree with you, Mark. And here's the reason why. Forget about everything else. Forget about what you see on court. Look at the heart and the desire of some of the guys that make up that roster. You're talking about Lowry and Van Fleet. Just those 2 guys alone, just out of sheer will bring that team into the playoffs. You get on a little winning streak. You climb to 500. You got a spot. So the Raptors are going to make the playoffs. And funny enough that you might see a different version, because put yourself in the locker room now. Trade deadline's coming. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of acrimony in the room because you don't know what the future looks like. And then come the deadline passes and your roster's settled. This is what you got. So obviously people are going to look. Lowry's still here, so they're going to say, wait a minute. Maybe they get comfortable right now and run off 4, 5, 6 in a row, starting with Phoenix tonight. Not an easy matchup, especially considering that squad is second in the Western Conference or at the top. I haven't checked in the recent while. Maybe I should do that as the preeminent sportscaster in Canada. But don't laugh, man. I was being serious. I like to wing it once in a while. I don't know what's going on.
Once in a while.
Yeah, I got notes, but sometimes, man, they go missing in all the horse sheets, gambling sheets, this, that, the other. I'm a mess, man.
Maybe that's why you're struggling with the gambling. You're taking the wrong sheets and looking at them, and you're making the wrong things happen.
You know what? It's refreshing. It's refreshing to entertain Barrie, Ontario for an hour a week. It gets me away from 3rd division Ethiopian soccer, a little bit of tennis, That terrible. Anyways,
well, here's the thing too: is Hood and Trent will both be playing tonight, so that we'll get a quick look as to what they are. And if Hood comes back to what he was last year, even the year before, it could be a nice addition with Hood as well, right?
Here's the deal with Hood. When it comes to him, he's at the latter stages of a career. Pro. Maybe what he offers is a little bit of harmony on the court, in the room. Like, from all accounts, he's a great guy. Great individual. People speak very highly of him from a personal perspective. If he's got a little game left, that's a bonus. Maybe he comes in there and he plays a different role that we as fans don't see. As for Gary Trent Jr., every time I see him, he's knocking down threes from 30 feet.
40%. 40%
every time I see him again. So Who's the on? Well, you put it this way: on any given night, Gary Trent Jr. can be a better player on a court than Norman Powell. I think that's a fair assessment.
I would agree. And he's a restricted free agent at the end of this year, but he's not going to cost anywhere near what Powell was going to cost him. So they're going to get him for $4 or $5 million. And you know what? It's honestly it was a nice move. It was a nice move.
Yeah. Speaking of nice moves, what's the guy again that left town? The guy that
Thomas, man, Matt Thomas. Like
hold on now. So in other words, what are you going to do with your Matt Thomas jersey, man? Is it going to go right in the attic?
I had it at the back and it was getting some dust off of it. Now I'm going to have to go and get a different. Where'd he go to? Sacramento. Where'd he go?
Well, he went to Utah, and he might fit
Utah.
in.
That's it. He goes straight to first place.
Yeah, and you know what? Snyder might find him some minutes over there. Anybody that comes off that Utah bench is a 3-point shooter, right? Thomas might find his little niche there for 7, 8, 10 minutes a game, get off a couple of threes. Whereas he fell into coaches, nurses' bad books here in Toronto. No playing time, no future, and kind of interesting because anytime he was on the court, at least he was a threat.
Yeah, and maybe it helps him out here. He's away from not playing. He'll get some playing time there, and as anything goes, when a player's traded from Toronto, he goes there and lights it up as soon as they leave Toronto. Yeah,
just as long as he wears a mask around Rudy Gobert. Right? You don't want to get too close to Big Rudy, man. There, man.
No.
He got you once, man. He can get you again, man. The big Frenchman, man, can't be trusted, man. Absolutely not. Remember what a silly bastard that guy was. Never mind. Anyways, we want to get into that kind of. So we don't want to get sidetracked here from the program. So moving on to Leafland, obviously 3-2 win against Ottawa, overtime win. Leafs have seemed to regain some of the lost momentum that they had earlier, especially coming off those three rather impressive wins against Edmonton. Been hovering around 500 since. And your buddy Freddie is down for a period of time.
He's well, it's good news because look, Campbell's come in. Only thing with Campbell, I hope they've told him just stay in the net. Don't go out and play the puck. Stay in the net.
Here's the problem, man. Here's the problem. Number one, Leaf fans are idiots for the most part. Just the ones that I see on social media and around. And again, I don't know them, but from the 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, I'd question their faculties, man. Like, all right, you got a game. The guy comes out of the net, gives one up, gives another. This is hockey, man. Every now and then stuff like that happens. It's happened to the best goalies in the world. It's happened to Patrick Waugh a million times. Don't you remember Patrick with the glove save in the playoffs and he puts it in his own net, Hall of Famer? It happens. These things happen. Number one, the first thing that Leaf fans got to understand, and I don't want to get emotional. I want to calm down a little bit. All right? That Leaf fans expect not to win. They expect to dominate each and every game. Leaf fans are under the impression, given this allure, that the names on the back of the jerseys tell them they got the best team on paper in the league. They believe that automatically equates to domination, man. In a salary cap world, Marty Roberts, especially in the NHL, there is no domination. You're not going to steamroll through the league unless you're playing the Buffalo Sabres every day. You're not going to steamroll. The difference between an Ottawa and a Toronto in a 60-minute game is minute, man. It's minute. Leaf fans got to understand. Take the 2 points and understand that sometimes the other team gets paid to play too. You got DJ Smith and you got the coach here. You got a lot of former Leafs. You know they're going to get up for the game. Take the 2 points and be happy. Ottawa goalie stood on his head.
And did you see all the different parts of equipment he was wearing because of all the different teams he beat to the chair? Blue, this, red, that. Yeah, what? Ottawa is improving game by game, though, right? They're not that stepping stone it was at the beginning of the season. Those guys are young; they're getting better. So it's not such a cakewalk to play Ottawa anymore. And it's nice that they came out with the win. And Campbell is playing well. He's making big saves. He's looking at times like he's Martin Brodeur making some of these leg saves, right?
Yeah. Ask Calgary how much of a pushover Ottawa is. They've had their this is a team that's fighting for their playoff lives and can't get a deuce in Ottawa. right? So again, when you put that staff together, and the coach is a respected guy over there, you got young guys that are trying to prove themselves, right? Obviously, and it's the Battle of Ontario. When you have certain matchups, throw the records out the window when it comes to 60 minutes of hockey, right? So when I hear people complaining, this is the last place. No, it's not like that, folks. It's not like that. The difference between first and last in salary cap worlds is minute at best, right? Yep. So you take the 2 points, get out of Dodge.
Yeah, get out of there and stay up. They're still they're 2 points up on Winnipeg and Edmonton. With I guess a couple games in hand still on them, so they got to they hold it. They whatever they do, it's in their hands. So let's see what they do going forward. And trade deadline's what, next week? Is it not end of next week?
April 12th.
So in 2 weeks it's coming up. So you have teams making. It looks like Eric Staal is going to Montreal. So Montreal picked up Eric Staal, who was there's talk that the Leafs are going to make a move for him. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do.
Yeah, it would. You know what? Staal is a rather impressive addition to the Montreal roster. If they made this trade 10 years ago,
right? Yeah, I wasn't. A couple of the names that be mentioned, like an Eric Staal, I wasn't high on that because, like you just said, 10 years ago they could have won the Stanley Cup with him, but it's a different time. He's I don't think what the Leafs need, and we'll see how Staal does in Montreal. When you're talking about
the Leafs and the roster, they have a surplus of those kind of guys. If you're talking about a guy like Staal, you got guys like Spezza, Thornton. You got that veteran leadership, and you got guys that play the same kind of game. You need guys in a different portion, portion of their career to bring in. You don't need geezers like me and you.
No, and that's why even they mentioned Foligno. I'm not sold on Foligno either. I don't think that's what they need. They need to shore up that back end and get a solid defensive back there, and maybe get a younger forward if that's what they need. But a Foligno, a Staal isn't. I don't think what the Leafs need. And the Leafs fans are all, I get that. They're thinking 5-6 years ago these were the players. They're not anymore. They're different guys, right?
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think's got better hair, me or Ken Reed?
Well, I saw Kenny the other day. Kenny's hair was looking kind of sweet the other day. He got a little longer, so maybe you let it grow a little bit in the back, and we'll talk next week about it.
I see.
And hey, don't forget about our man Joe. Joe's got a nice lid too.
I seen he's absolutely he's growing it out, man. Our producer Double J, Joey P, always on the scene, behind the scenes over here, man, making this bringing this production to life for the countless thousands in the Northern Ontario, in the armpit of Northern Ontario. Barry coming at you live. How you doing, folks? I'm glad you're here and I'm here.
I wanted to bring up something before we go any further. I was de-rostered yesterday, okay, by my doctor. Have you ever heard of that?
What do you mean de-rostered?
My doctor called me up and said, "Hey, Marty, I'm going to have to de-roster you. You're a patient still, but you went to a couple times to the walk-in clinic, so I got to de-roster you." I'm like, "Doc, what the heck's de-roster me? I feel like I'm in the big game here and you're sitting me on the bench."
So here's the story, man. And no matter where you go, what you do, it's all about dollars and cents. So this doctor of yours, holy geez, Marty Roberts is going behind my back to the walk-in clinic. That walk-in clinic's getting the 45 bananas for the visit, and I'm missing out, man. See you later, Marty Roberts. You're on the sidelines.
Here's what I found out. Here's what I found out. So I Googled de-roster, and it says that doctors get a so-called bonus for us patients. And when I go to a walk-in clinic, he doesn't get the bonus. The walk-in clinic gets it.
Mm.
So I'm sitting on the sideline collecting some splinters now. Not his patient anymore. Well, I'm his patient, but I'm not a rostered patient.
And is he what kind of doctor is he?
He's a family doctor.
He's not a psychiatrist?
No. He's not allowed to de-roster me.
No, that's what I was.
He gave me the coupon this week, 2 for 1, me and you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we'll just mention this too. We got the ladies championships going off now, and Toronto 6 is playing Boston. They're down 4-1 as we speak.
Toronto 6 is down 4-1. Where is it in the boat? 4-1's got to be in what, the 50th, 60th minute?
It's got to be getting pretty close to the end, I think. I think it started almost a couple hours ago, if I'm not mistaken. But they're down 4-1. I was following it a bit on Twitter, and can't watch it anywhere. But I was following on Twitter with the score, so that sort of sucks that if they don't come back.
Yeah.
Maybe just professional hockey teams aren't meant to beat anyone from Boston, from Toronto.
Yeah, it appears to be the case. To be quite honest, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I got nothing invested. If I knew, I might have. Unless I came on there, I might have put a couple of 20s on a 0-0 draw. But that doesn't work out too good. Anyways, talking about the Leafs, talking about the Raps. Got Rob Ducey coming up at the bottom of the hour. What else you got on your mind?
And I just looked. It's a second period in the game.
Second period in the game. All right.
Yeah, second period in the game. I know we got Ducey coming up here in a little bit, but I want to speak a little bit about Yates.
Okay.
I'm all reports came out that Atlanta had an offer in for him. They didn't like the physical that came back, so they said no to it. And the Jays saw that same physical and decided just to lower it, how much they're going to give him, and roll the dice with a guy who obviously was showing some type of injury with his throwing arm. I don't know who to blame here. I don't know if it's the medical staff, if it's Atkins, it's Shapiro. I don't know who to blame here for this, but it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth that they went out and spent $5.5 million on this guy, knowing that he probably wasn't going to last very long.
Yeah, that probably is going to be reflective on your next Rogers bill. You might get jacked up a few quarters,
right? I was excited that Yates was here, but he obviously was damaged goods when we got him, right? So it'll be interesting to see. He's had his surgery, so he'll be ready for next year. But that doesn't help us this year. So now we got to find a bullpen by committee. Well, I guess a closer by committee. So
where do you think, given the fact that Yates, by all accounts, was anointed for the spot if he was healthy, who fits the role now? Who would you go to if you had to? Is it going to be dictated by performance early on, or is it?
I think it's going to be Phelps first, and then if he falters, then it's just going to be whoever is going well, Romano, Delise, whoever, right? So I think Phelps is the guy that gets it. The thing about Yates going down, that allows another guy who wasn't going to make the team, who's been throwing well, to now be on there. Like, I don't know if the Jays would do it, but Manoah's looking really good.
Yeah, and they sent him down to the minor league complex. Yep. Again, if I'm the manager, and that Greek's pretty impressive when it comes to decision makings, as evidenced by my tenure with the Bulldogs. There we go. What do we got out there in the background? I don't know. Looks like a little bit of sauce, but in any event, you know who I take a shot on and give the job to initially? Merriweather. I give Merriweather a shot. I like him a lot. His stuff is electric. He shows out. Especially considering some of the health concerns he has. You want to put him in the pen. For me, Merriweather's the guy by midseason that might be as
long as he can stay healthy, right? He's out again being hurt, so he hasn't pitched yet in spring training. So that's the issue. They got these guys that are recovering. Like you got Hatch, who's luckily I thought it was going to be Tommy John, but it looks like he'll be back in a few weeks and back at it. But who impressed me the last couple times out is Thornton. I didn't think he looks like he's got something to prove here. Thornton throwing 5 shutout innings. Maybe he's the guy who sneaks in there for us. I don't know. Like I never been overly excited with him, but I think he might have a shot to get in along with that TJ Zoik.
To get into the back end of the bullpen?
Yeah, get in the bullpen. Zoik might be a guy that if Pearson's not ready, they might say, here, we're going to give you a start and see what you can do as that 5 guy, right? Because as much as Rourke was looking real, you got to remember too, Ray fell down the stairs, hurt his elbow, so he's probably going to miss a start. So they got a couple guys they got to fill in here. So
when you're talking about TJ, and again, as a reliever, the only detriment to bring him out of the bullpen, he's not a swing and miss kind of guy. Puts the ball in play. Yeah. You don't want guys like that. You don't want guys like that in the back end of your bullpen, right? You want swings and misses at that point in time. and he hasn't demonstrated, despite his lanky figure. You would think that this guy was just by looking at him an upper 90s guy, but this guy lives in the low 90s, right? Will sink to the ball, puts the ball in place. So given the way the game of baseball is being played in the recently, that he'd probably be best served to give you 4 or 5 innings off the top.
Yeah, you would think. And the other day when the game was on TV, Montoya did say he has the pitching coach and the manager's eyes. So you never know what's going to happen there, and hopefully it all straightens out and guys don't start falling all over the place. But I'm excited for it to get going next week. I think the first they start, so it'll be an exciting time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts in relation to how you see the batting order, where you see guys sliding in?
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, and I think you've seen it a few times. Montoya put this lineup in there, and when Springer's healthy, he's going to be your leadoff guy. Simeon, Bichette. I think 4, 5, 6 is where they might move guys around. You might see Hernandez, Vlad, 4, 5 back foot, because Vlad's been, just tearing it up of late. He looks like a different guy, and I've said this before. Him being allowed to go over to third base every now and then gives him a little bit more excitement to be at the ballpark, and he wants to prove that he's there, and that takes over to his hitting as well.
Yeah. And again, you can only assume, and again, you can't put a lot of stock into spring training, no matter what, when it comes to position players, right? You might tear up the spring and come out and bat 130 for the first 2 months of the season. There's no correlation between what you do in the spring and how you carry it over through the season, right? But when it comes to Vlad, you lose 15, 20. You can get to the inside balls, but his bat looked a little bit slow last year. Looked like he couldn't get to a lot of pitches just in terms of his physical composition, right?
Yep. What I like about him so far this spring training is he did this when he first came up with the Jays. He's taking the ball the other way, so they're putting the shift on him. He's putting it the other way, and that's what was very good at when he first came up. Got away from that last year. I wonder if he's going back to that way, and hey, I'll get base hits, get home runs the opposite way, and just go with it, right? So we'll see. Vlad is one of those guys that'll be 4 or 5, or Hernandez, and we'll go from there, and hopefully everyone just stays healthy at this time. So that'll be the Blue Jays there, and Rogers must have got Billy here, so we'll wait for Billy to come back to talk some more Blue Jays. But if Pearson's back, Pearson's going to be your 4 or 5 guy. Rourke struggled a little bit right now, so hopefully Rourke picks it up. If not, to the bullpen, or they might have to release him. So it'll be an interesting time over the next couple of weeks to find out what the Jays will do, and where they'll finish out here in spring training. So Billy's coming in and out, but nothing yet. He didn't pay his hydro bill, I'm guessing, or his Rogers bill. Like I said, at 6:30, we're going to be joined by Rob Ducey, former Major League Baseball player with the Toronto Blue Jays, Montreal Expos, Angels, I think Texas Rangers, and Seattle Mariners. So he'll be joining us in a few minutes, and then it'll be nice to talk to him for that time. So, you made it back.
I was just testing you, actually. You know what's the interesting thing about social media and this broadcast? If you put between, say, 2 and 5 discouraging sentences in regards to Rogers, they'll shut you down.
You said our bills are going to go up, so that's it. You see, you're going to check your Rogers bill, and then look what happened. We got shut down.
It goes without fail. If I ever say anything about these guys, 30 seconds later, they got somebody on this case. Why? Okay, man. Rogers, you're the greatest service, greatest owner. It's just a pleasure, man. It's just a pleasure for us to be sent those invoices without hesitation. You ever notice they never get those bills? Never get COVID. They just keep coming, man. They just keep coming.
Yeah, they used to give you that little leeway too. Hey, all right, you can send it in a couple weeks, and you missed your payment. We want it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So as Marty mentioned, just waiting on Mr. Ducey to appear in the bottom portion of the screen here. We got him on standby.
We know that he does have Rogers in Florida, so maybe there's a sister company with Rogers down there that's causing an issue for him to get in here.
Yeah, for all Jays fans, absolutely. When we talk about Rob, obviously Cambridge native, Canadian, and made his entry into Major League Baseball at a point in time where Canadian content was extremely limited in regards to big league ball players, right? This is not how it was like for the younger people watching. This is not how it was 20, 30 years ago. You'd rarely see a Canadian ball player. And he, in some respects, had coming out of Cambridge, Ontario, playing for your hometown Blue Jays. That was quite an accomplishment back then, right?
Yeah. He would have been probably one of the very first ones to head south. He went to Florida for schooling, and I'm about 4 or 5 years younger than him. And when I went, there's only a handful of guys. So I would imagine there wasn't very many for when Rob was down south. And what a difference! They leave in Cambridge to go down to the palm trees of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we'll get into it too that obviously it's a dream come true when you're a Cambridge boy. You pick up a bat, and then before you know it, at the age of 22, you're playing on your hometown team. But also had the misfortune at that point in time, and we'll ask him personally if and when he gets on, to be part of what was at that point in time considered the best outfield in baseball. It's a tough way to break in, right?
Yeah. He played with a lot of good players. I think he played a few years even with one of my favorites of all time, Fred Mcgriff, who, my opinion, should be a guy sitting in the Hall of Fame. But hopefully one day they change that course and allow him into there. Like that was a guy that you never had anything. No one had anything bad to say. Nothing followed that guy around. He just went out and did his job with a smile on his face.
The thing I remember about as you mentioned, Fred Mcgriff, the thing that I remember about him, and this goes back to, I think it's probably 87 or 88, Monday Night Baseball, back when it used to air, that he took Rick Rhoden almost out of Yankee Stadium in the third deck, if you remember.
Yeah. He, when I was playing, I was, when I wasn't pitching, I was first base, and when I was at play, I tried to do my stance the same way the crying dog used to at the plate.
And it's interesting when you talk about a guy like that. And again, he came up probably just prior to the steroid era. Back end of his career was around that time. Again, no accusations. So his 494 in mathematical terms is very impressive. It's more so than some of the guys that played later on in the steroid era, and he still gets no respect in terms of Hall of Fame voting, right? And that's a disservice to him. I think he should be considered. If he's not a Hall of Famer, he's right on the border, right? And
And he could have stuck around to get those 500 home runs. No, he decided this is the time. So he could have been like a lot of other players that stuck around just to get another stat. But I loved watching him play, and when he got traded, it was sad watching him go, but he still did what he did wherever he went.
Okay, I've got a message from Rob here. He says he's trying to connect, but there's no login on his phone. He's been at it for 5 minutes, so we hope to get Rob on again. Some things beyond our control in terms of the technical aspects of not only this production, but just in general. When you put something like this together, right? It's hit and miss in terms of getting some of the guys on. So we hope
we will hear us
shortly.
Can he hear us at least? Or no, he can't. Nothing.
Absolutely. At this point in time, it's difficult for me to talk and type, so I can't get that. I can't get that information to you, Marty Roberts.
You can't chew gum and talk.
Listen, man. Listen. So those snidey comments aside, here we were talking about again the best outfielder in baseball. What I wanted to ask Rob is, he's in the middle of this now. I wanted to get his insights into Jimmy Williams, the best outfield in baseball, and then old Jimmy in the coming off George Bell's MVP year. Old Jimmy decides he's gonna bring in Taco to the locker room, and he's gonna turn him into a full-time DH. That fell apart. Season fell apart, and then from then on, Bell's with the Cubs in '89, and goes on to finish his career with the White Sox. Right? Interesting turn of events. You got the MVP of the American League. And there he is, Mr. Ducey. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hey guys, how are you? Sorry about that. This is it was sending me all different places.
Nah, we were just talking behind your back, actually. A couple good things. Listen, before we get going, we got about half an hour. So want to take you back. I want to take you back through your career growing up in Cambridge, through your career starting out with the Toronto Blue Jays at the tender age of 22. But the most important thing is, how's your bracket, man?
My bracket?
How's your NCAA bracket?
Don't have one.
You don't have one, all right. So
no, I you know what? I don't watch sports. I was like, bracket. What is he referring to? Yeah. I honestly, I don't watch sports. If I'm not playing it, then it doesn't affect my life. Unfortunately, I don't watch it. I don't follow.
That's interesting. All right, so Mr. Ducey's in his house. It's about 7:30. He's laid back. He decides to put on the TV. He's not watching sports, so that doesn't leave a lot of options, Rob. What are you on? CNN?
No,
what are you doing with yourself?
No, there's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's Prime Plus. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Speaking of a lot of options, you come up from Cambridge, Ontario, proud product of Cambridge. You came in a time when the Canadian baseball influx had not begun. It was you, Terry Poole, and obviously the Hall of Famer Fergie Jenkins at that point in time. Not a lot of Canadians. So tell us, what was it like for you growing up in Cambridge, and then you got a Blue Jay uniform on? But here's the funny thing. You got the uniform on, but you're also a young kid behind the best outfield in baseball at that time, right? How'd that work out?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It worked out okay, but I truly wish that I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready I wasn't mature enough to play there at that time. I wish that I would have maybe come up with a Cleveland organization or Minnesota at that time. Kansas City. Well, Kansas City was pretty good in, but just an organization that I could have got acclimated with and then had a chance to actually play for the Blue Jays later when I was much more mature. Being the Canadian presence on the team, a lot of people felt like, that's why I was there. Mm-hmm. But that, I obviously I earned my way there. They're just not giving those spots away. Having that responsibility, being a Canadian, playing for a Canadian team, I had, Canadians rooting for me, and there was a added pressure to that, and I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, it'd be hard for you at that point in time, for you and Sil Capasano to knock Bell, Barfield, and Mosby out of their spots, right? So you come in a place that's extremely difficult. You got a little bit of a pressure. So do you ever think back, like as you mentioned, and said, you know what? Do you ever wonder what circumstances would have been like had you made your entry, and how that would have affected the rest of your career? You ever play that game in your head?
I think everyone does, whether you're successful or not. I'm truly blessed that I got an opportunity to play in the big leagues, and for the amount of time that I played in the big leagues. I played with great players. I have some cherished friendships from playing. I wouldn't trade my experiences for one opportunity other than what I had. Mm-hmm. I got a chance to play for my country. I played in the Olympics, coached in the Olympics, played at the highest level, traveled all over the world. Baseball had been better good to me. Yeah. Met my wife through baseball. I have my family because of baseball. So I can't say, it's sour grapes. No, I had a tremendous opportunity, and I made the best of it and played as long as I could.
And doing something, and lucky enough, because when you look at society at large, right, there's not a lot of people fortunate enough to make a life and all the memories that come with it through playing a game they love, right? Obviously, you're talented. Correct. It's a great gift, right? Doing something you love for a living is beautiful, be it if you're playing sports, a guitar, or whatever the case may be, right? So kudos to that.
Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate. And I tell people that all the time. I tell people that I was the worst major league players of all time while I was playing. But
no.
But no. But I was in the big leagues, and
yeah,
you know the
we remember a guy named Ron Shepard around here, eh? So don't say anything. We remember a guy named Ron Shepard around here.
Oh man, I envied Ron Shepard. 6'5", could hit the ball over the moon, could fly, had a cannon. Oh man, you have no idea what it's like to look at these guys, you know, on the field right next to you. You're like, man, Glenn Allen Hill, Mark Whitten, Sylvester Camposano, Eric Yelding, Darrell Landrum. I can go on and on and on as far as guys you look at and say, man, I can't do that. Yeah. Man, I don't look like that. But you know, our game, you players look all different shapes and sizes.
I think what's amazing, Rob, is that if I read it correctly, that you didn't start playing baseball till what, 15, 16 years old. You were a slow pitch guy, were you a softball guy, were you not?
Yeah, definitely not slow pitch. Yeah, so
that's why I reversed. So that's amazing to me that you started so late and you got to where you were with being behind when most of these guys are starting when they're 7, 8 years old, and you're picking a game up when you're 15, 16 years old, and bang, off you went.
Well, I think that was never really taken into consideration. And, you know, I would go out on the field. Guys expected me to know this and know that. I was prepared, but I wasn't prepared to the degree that some other guys were. My stepfather used to drill me on the way home from games and ask me questions about, okay, you're playing left field, you know, ball hit in the right center field gap, man on first base, where do you go? You know, those types of things. And I would dread, you know, these questions, but those questions actually prepared me. I had the ability to go on the field. I knew exactly where to go, and I was rarely out of position. And so that prepared me going forward. And then I got a chance to go to junior college, being on the field every day. That, you know, up the process as far as the speed factor. And then I end up signing, and it was very, very quick. By the time I got to the major leagues, I was still green as the grass. And because you're at a certain level, people have expectations. And it was like, wait, Cito got mad at me one day, and I had no idea why. And so
and
I was young. Yeah, I was young, and I had no idea. You know, I was all right. I'd go out and play.
What did you miss? Why was he mad at you? What happened? You missed curfew?
Oh man, we were in Texas. It was about 120 degrees out. He was throwing batting practice early BP at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he told me, all right, hey, put a ball on the outside corner. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he wants me to visualize a ball on the outside corner. Okay. So I stand there, and he doesn't throw, and I'm looking at him. He said, hey, put a ball on the outside corner. And I'm like, okay. Okay, no problem. And I'm standing in the box, and he doesn't throw, and he walks around the L screen. Again, it's 100 and a zillion, and he's sweating bullets. And he picks up a ball, and he slams it on the outside corner of the plate. I said, put a ball on the outside corner. And I was like, no one ever asked me to do that before. He needed a target to throw to. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know until you told me right now.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. So those types of scenarios, you know, it was just, I was oblivious to a lot of things. I ran all day long. I could run all day long. I was super energetic, and I was just out playing. It didn't matter. You know, I was just trying to win a baseball game.
Yeah. So obviously your comeuppance happened to start in 87, right?
Correct.
All right. So 87 is obviously, when it comes to Blue Jay history, man, there's a few times that a couple of tears been dropped in Southern Ontario. You're talking about 85, probably too young. I don't know if you were drafted at that point in time or just a fan. Yep. So George Brett in 85, Doyle Alexander, you know the story, heartbreak. So you move forward to 87. You're on the squad now. You got you and the Tigers. You're up with.
Don't know why do you gotta go there?
Because
why do you gotta go there?
I'm trying to heal, man. It's been 30 years.
You know,
I still haven't got over it. I haven't got over it. But my AA sponsor says it's best to talk about things and get them off your chest, right? So you're up with 4. Hey, don't laugh. It's serious, man. Right? So you're up for.
You know what? If this can help you through it, okay, go ahead.
All right, so you got Sheridan, man, takes out Hanky, or was it Gibson? I don't know, the Sunday, man. You remember, Juan Beniquez on the Saturday, 3-run double. You beat that bullpen. You're up 4 with 7 to play, man. And it's all wrapped up, baby, right? It's all wrapped up, man. 4 with 7, you can't lose a lead like that. You go the Sunday, you lose the extra inning game. Pick it up from there, man. Pick it up. Obviously, Fernandez goes down. Ernie goes down. Take us through those 5 days, man, in terms of the emotions. And when you guys started to say, holy shit, man, we're in trouble, man. Did it ever happen?
You know what? I was a young whippersnapper and kind of watching it all unfold. If I was in the field, it would be different. But I literally had almost zero chance to get on the field, even though I was on the team. We were in Detroit, and every game was like one hit away. So last game of the season, it was like, okay, if we win the game, then we have a playoff game, I believe. And it was like, you just couldn't believe it. Each one of those games were just on run, and it was 3-2, 2-1 for their pitching staff to hold our offense, regardless of who the scores they did. That's up to them to go and win the World Series. But man, it was again Doyle Alexander. It was, as you were watching, it was okay. We're one hit away from winning this game. We're going ahead. We're one hit.
Yeah.
And just
yeah, you're talking about bringing back memories.
That's all I got for that one.
Yeah. You know what? Unfortunately for us, we don't got Manny Lee there on the 4th box. Talk about that ground ball that fired the 5 hole. Larry Herndon hits a fly ball to left field. It's a can of corn. And then before you know it, George is at the wall. See you later, 1-0, game done. And our buddy Garth Orge with that feeble ground ball back to the pitcher to close it up, right? It was a terrible time. It was a real painful time as guys. Like, I was a younger guy at that point in time, just Blue Jay fans in general, right? Because it was a magical year. Talk about George Bell in terms of what you saw from afar that year. In my estimation, I've been following the game for, I don't know, since I was a little kid. One of the best pure hitters I've ever seen in my life, no matter where you're talking about. One of the really greats of all time. Talk about George not only on the field, but what he was like as a teammate, too. A lot of stories there, good or bad.
I love George. I still, it's he's like an older brother to me. We still talk periodically, not very often, but periodically. George, my very first game in playing on a field. My first game I played left field, so he DH'd. The first game that I played center field, he was playing left field. I think it was the next day. He pulls me over in the first inning, and he said, "Hey, come here." So I ran on over there. We were in exhibition stadium, and he said, "Hey, if I miss it, you go get it." I said, "Okay, no problem." And he said, "If you miss it, you go get it." So anything that you go get it. Okay, George. I used to go get him coffee, and it was just one of those things, So with George, he was a fierce competitor, really good teammate. Obviously, in '87, he won the American League World, and he was a leader. He was a leader on a very good team, and I have all the respect in the world for him.
Absolutely.
So you sign with the Blue Jays. Later on in your career, you go to Montreal. So you're the first Canadian player to do that. Was there anything bigger though than to go into the 2004 Olympics?
No, and I tell that to people all the time. All the hitting a major league debut, hitting a home run. We actually have the home run record, major league record. Playing in Nolan Ryan's last game, playing left field there. Being in left field when George Brett got his 3,000th hit. I mean, I can kind of run down little bullet points as far as things that I've experienced. But when we clinched the berth to the Olympics in 2004, that was the height of my professional life experience. I can't tell you how, and I tell people all the time, singing the national anthem on the bus on the way back to the hotel with 30 people on that bus singing the anthem, one common goal, that just doesn't happen, and it did happen. So I cherish that experience, and I will cherish that experience for the rest of my life.
And I, we both have a friend named Todd Betts, and he told me there was a couple good stories coming out of Panama. I think it'll be told on air though.
Yeah, no. Every night we play cards. And we had some beers flowing because we're baseball players. We had chicken. I went out and got chicken all the time. Because we had to have some chicken, play some cards, and the team chemistry was unbelievable. The team chemistry was so unique. I believe the Canadian Olympic Committee told the rest of the real athletes to stay away from the baseball players because we were bad influences.
So did you happen to run into the mighty Greek national team in 2004?
Oh, I think I'd have to believe that we beat up on them a little bit. I don't remember losing to them. Gosh, I don't remember even playing. But actually, I went into the hospital there. No, serious. I went into the hospital over there. So they may have played them while I was in the hospital. But we end up losing to Japan. We were this close. You think that 87 was hurtful? 2004 was hurtful.
Really? Yeah.
We were this close to a medal in the Olympics, and that was probably one of the most painful game that I ever experienced.
Really. So you've traveled. Obviously, we took you through the Olympics. Blue Jays, obviously, well traveled in those ways. I'm curious to know. So now, all of a sudden, you become a hitting instructor, but not in Tampa, Florida, or you become in the what's Japanese or China, right? You become a hitting instructor, right? So
that's at the end. You're skipping like a billion chapters. You're like going from year 1 to year 37.
No, he didn't even mention that you played there before you actually went there to be a hitting coach.
Here's what I was trying to figure out. If I'm you, do you speak the language?
Heck no.
So all right, so you're teaching baseball. Obviously, you can talk baseball like hands, body, like
through an interpreter.
Oh, so you got an interpreter there the whole time, right?
Yes.
That must have been fun, man. Interesting, kind of. So you're talking here, it's going there, man. That's got to be fun in some respects.
No, like I said, I had an opportunity to see many countries. Just with Team Canada alone, we went to Italy, we went to Australia, we went to Beijing, we went to obviously Athens, to Mexico, to in the U.S. So we traveled like a lot of different places. I played in Japan for 2 years. So baseball, I cannot regret one thing. I've worn many hats as far as being a pro scout, being a professional coach, managed did a lot of different things in baseball. So it was time for me to step aside. The game now is a lot different than it was in the past, and it should evolve. I don't think it should be the same. It should evolve with all the new tech and things that are going on. Baseball should evolve, but you can't discount if someone experience and the technology. I don't even think I said that right, but the technology to help players up today get best of both worlds, and I think that's the combination that Major League Baseball should try to adhere to.
Speaking of evolving, you're talking about your
Oh, he disappeared. You still there, Rob?
I am.
Oh, you're still there. Ability back. He has issues with Rogers every night we do this.
Okay.
But I think okay. I want to ask you now, did you play once you were done up in the Intercounty League for a bit?
No, I did not. No, I've lived here for 30 years or so.
Yeah.
A little bit longer than. Yeah.
So
I've never gone back. Excuse me?
No. I always thought that you played a year in the Intercounty once your playing days were over.
No, I went back and I actually played for the Canadian national team.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what it was. I was trying to figure out because someone was asking me the other day about it, and I couldn't totally remember, but but like I was telling you before, Mr. Todd Betts says hi.
Okay.
He said
okay. I'm
Todd.
actually sitting over here, and I'm waiting for this to be done. I have a 14U team that I volunteer with.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
They're out there practicing and stretching. I'm about to yell at them a little bit. I tell them I can't yell at anybody at home, so I have to yell at you guys here.
Do any of your kids play baseball?
They did in Little League, but my oldest, he went to school and he was a football player at school. He went to University of Charleston in West Virginia, and he ended up graduating his business degree out of there. And my youngest son, he was afraid of the baseball. So baseball, you can't play, you can't hit if you're scared of the ball. My daughter, really, really good athlete. She played a little softball and soccer and a bunch of different things.
And now you're giving back by helping coach. That's great.
Well, this has been about 2 or 3 years with some of these kids and trying to get them ready to go play in high school. High school baseball here is really, really the challenges of on the same level when they're 14 and going against the seniors. It's really difficult. It's a challenge. Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Before I was rudely interrupted by my Rogers subscription and the fact that I don't usually pay my bills on time. I'm a couple of days late for a couple of reasons. We won't get into that. You spoke about your travels, and I'm curious to know the cultural diversity you've amassed over your travels, right? Obviously, you're privy to not only a world, but a way of thinking, a whole lot of different things that go up here and create the person you are. Speak to that and how those things have culminated to make you the man you are today, especially when you consider living in the good old USA, which obviously is, from all accounts, tumultuous times down there in some respects, right? How's that all shaped in to make Rob Ducey the man he is today?
I would assume just like anybody else experiences. You go through experiences and you learn from them, and you say, no, I'm not going to go down that path. I got beat up when I went down that path the last time. I'm going to go down this path. It's just experiences, and I think if you wake up each morning and you say, okay, I'm going to try to make the best out of today and put your best foot forward and see what happens, I think that's all you can really do. You know,
speaking of best foots, Rod. Speaking of best foots, how often do you follow the Jays at all? And if you're talking about best foots, what are your impressions from afar in terms of Shapiro and Atkins and the club they've put together?
I have no idea. I do not follow them. I do know that the sons of former players, they're doing very well. So kudos to them. I'm coming up in the leagues playing it when I was with Philadelphia. I'm happy that Guerrero and Biggio and Bichette and you know, they're doing well in the big leagues. I hope that they get a chance to play there for a long time, and it looks like they're not, you know, they're not in their dad's shadows per se, and they're carving their own niche in history.
That's awesome. So let's close this up in this kind of way, because we got a few minutes left. We got maybe up to 10, depending on how my next question goes. So you start in '87. You retire later on in life. Take me through, off the top of your head, the 3 toughest pitchers you've ever faced that come to mind.
Well, I'm glad that he couldn't finish his question, but I blocked out one of them. I forget his name. He pitched for the White Sox. I always block out his name because I was 0 for 10. I was saying, did you catch any of that?
No, I just tuned in, and no, you're talking about a White Sox guy. Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Hoy?
No, I blocked his name out. He was with the White Sox. He was with the Cubs. He was with the Brewers, and I was 0 for 10 with 7 strikeouts against him, and I blocked out his name. So I forget his name all the time. I faced Randy Johnson when he was with the Expos in Indianapolis in AAA, and he was wild. That was intimidating. I didn't even swing. He walked me twice. I vividly remember that he walked me twice. I did not swing. I was in self-protect mode. But you know, facing Nolan Ryan, Kevin Brown, Roger Clemens, the who's who, Andy Bennis, Blackjack McDowell.
Yeah.
I got a chance to Jamin Navarro. I got a chance to face, you know, the tougher right-handed pitchers in the league because I was left-handed. So later on in my career, it was Sunday day games and Kevin Brown. Okay, thank you. That's a 0 for 7. Yeah, that was a 0 for 7 week because I pinch hit against Mariano Rivera or some other closer, and it was a tough week. So the role that I had, very, very difficult. But you know what? You try to make hay, and that's exactly what I did every single day.
I think I remember reading somewhere that you were pretty good at the plate versus Mike Mussina.
Yeah, he was. You know what? Hey, I took him deep a couple times, and thank you very much, Mike. He kept me around a little bit. No, it was. You know what? I battled at the plate. I fought tooth and nail for everything that I got. Regardless of the playing time, that was irrelevant. I had a chance to, go up there and grind out in that bat. Whether I got, which I didn't, 75% of the time, or a little bit less than that. I was a 240 career hitter, but 240 in that role against those guys, I look back and think, you know what, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that's it. Well above the Mendoza line, man. You're safe over there, man. That's in a different stratosphere. So you spend that time. We're talking about prior to you coming on. We're just rehashing some Blue Jay memories from the '80s. Let me ask you, just straight: is Fred Mcgriff a Hall of Famer?
No doubt about it. Except for on the golf course.
Yeah.
But is he still smiling when he's putting it all over?
I play golf with Fred. I play golf with Fred probably once a week, once every week and a half or so. Yeah. And we're fierce competitors against each other. We are super rivals as far as golf is concerned. But there's no question in my mind that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. and the things, obviously, the things that he did on the field were Hall of Fame material, but the person that he was off the field, the kind of person that he is now, it's really a shame.
And that's what I said to Billy earlier. I said, nothing bad ever came out against Fred Mcgriff off the field. He was always that professional off the field. It's someone that you'd want the younger players to look up to and be like Fred Mcgriff.
Yeah. Correct.
You take any cash off him on the course?
Oh, I beat him like a redheaded stepchild. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know whether that's politically correct or not to say.
It's good. It's good.
All right. So let me put a disclaimer. No, my disclaimer, if that offends anyone, I am sorry. Got to do that, right?
Does he smile when you're taking the money from him?
Oh, yeah.
Because he always has a big smile on his face.
he gets mad. I had a couple rough years where I couldn't make like a 1.5-foot putt. I had this, I don't know. I had the yips. Yeah, I had the yips. Yeah, the 10-footer, no problem. If it was like this, I might miss it. I might 3-putt from here. So he would laugh. He's got a great laugh.
Is that the great thing? Is that the great thing about sports? So you play with these guys, 20, 30 years ago, whatever it is, and you're still to this day are very close with them. That's the amazing thing about sports.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Oh, sorry.
That's all. You're not getting pulled over for any moving.
No,
he's at practice.
Hey, it's 82 degrees outside, and I've been sitting inside my car with my windows closed for the duration of this call, and I'm sweating bullets.
It's awesome. You know what, Rob? It was a real. First of all, you know what? Because again, I don't know how in the blue hell I landed this little gig right here doing this.
There you go. See, he doesn't get it. Don't mention Rogers. What he's going to say, he doesn't understand how he got this gig, but to be around and talk to guys like you makes it all worth it. Oh,
well, as soon as he gets on, my pleasure. I enjoy sharing my story. If it helps people, do what they do, I enjoy it. So my pleasure as far as being on.
I'm back again to try to slide in the last minute.
There you go.
Here's what I was thinking, Rob. At the end of the day, I'm just a sports fan, man. I'm just a sports fan, nothing more, right? And when I get a chance through the advent of social media, a chance to meet somebody that I grew up watching from afar, get a chance to laugh a little and what have you, right? It's awesome that you on the other end of that approach are cordial, inviting, and just decent, man. And to some of the younger people, like, that makes a hell of a difference when somebody that was at a pinnacle once takes the time to share their memories, their laughs, and a little message with somebody else, especially when that somebody's a fan, right? That's awesome, man. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate getting the opportunity to do it. I think that I know that if it's not for the fans, I don't have a career.
Yeah.
I'm working at Scruggs and Shoes or something. I'm just a normal dude. And, I wasn't really good. I didn't excel in school. I didn't work real hard at it. So I would have just, I chose not to, and that was my fault. I was, young and dumb. But I think that for the major sports to kind of discount what the fans truly mean or to the game, that's crazy. That's your revenue. That's your pipe drain. That's your pipe, your stream, your revenue stream.
Yeah.
So fans to me, I anytime I had an opportunity to sign or I would take the time. Why? Because fans.
Yeah.
They paid my salary.
Area? Do you ever make your way back? Do you have any roots still in the Cambridge area or north of the border?
My dad still lives there, and I have a sister that lives in Milton, and another one that lives in Ayr. So I all my family lives there, except for my other one of my sisters lives over in Texas.
Awesome. So if you're ever north of the border, you got an open invitation. We'll give you box seats. We might even make you a complimentary coach for the East York Bulldogs. This is the management. This is the management team for the East York Junior Bulldogs. So if you're ever in the area, shoot a call. I'd love to have you out to the yard. Maybe whip up some of these kids into shape.
No problem. It might take me more than one day, though.
Understandable, man. When the first number of the age starts with a 5, man, it takes more than one day, man. I know. God
Very
bless
true.
you, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
guys.
Rob. Appreciate
All right,
it.
thank you.
Yeah,
have a good night. Bye-bye.
That was our good friend, and well, he's a good friend.
He's our good friend now. Like you're just gonna say, Billy, you keep cutting. You better go pay your internet bill. But that was great speaking with Rob Ducey. I'm sure he has a lot more stories, but we didn't have any more time to talk about them with him. But it was a great half hour with Rob, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll have a few more guests on here for the Yankees, the Houston Astro guy, and we'll go from there. But I'm guessing this is the end of the show because Billy's not back. So this was the sports wrap up on the Fired Up Network, and we will see you guys next Friday at 6 p.m. Have a good one.